Hi, what's going on? Welcome to AXIOM TV. I'm your host, Jason V. Sareve, and welcome to another um, segment, another episode of the segment that we called Say Word. Um, One of my inspirations outside of Bill Cosby's description of Howard on The Cosby Show, of him always copying down vocabulary words and researching while doing research, is also when I watched the movie Malcolm X by Spike Lee starring Denzel Washington. I was so inspired once I heard that he memorized the dictionary while he was in prison. Remember when Brother Bane said to him, "Let's start here with the word aardvark." I was like, is this dude serious? But after listening to many of Malcolm X's speeches on YouTube, which is a great resource of many of his speeches, for many of his speeches, and as well as a lot of Dr. Martin Luther King's lesser known speeches, I realized how much of an extensive vocabulary that these gentlemen had. And I was always thinking in the back of my mind, I always made a note that one day I wanted to be able to have these guys' proficiency. I wanted to be as prolific with my vocabulary as these individuals were someday. Now, why do you yourself want to possess an above average vocabulary? Some people say, what's the point? I'm not going to be able to use it, or you don't want to be able to you won't be able to use it with the type of people that you speak to, because their vocabulary may not be above average itself. Well, it's true that you do not need an extensive vocabulary to survive. You can just speak with commonly used terms. But you must keep in mind, but it's false that you will not be able to use an above average vocabulary. You must keep in mind that everyone in society does not speak in commonly used terms, such as slang and what do I want to say? Forms of expression, especially educated individuals who have the most influence on society, whether overtly or covertly. That's the fact of the matter. This means that for many Americans, outside of commonly used language, much of English is like a foreign language. It might as well be Chinese or Spanish to these individuals. It's also hypocritical to demand of foreigners that they learn to speak the language of English when a substantial amount of us within the United States are not very well versed in English ourselves. That said, let's begin with these week's 10 new vocabulary words that I myself was unsure or wasn't too certain of their definitions. Now, some of these words you may know yourself, and if you do, more power to you. Keep learning more. I'm just approaching this from the words that I don't know, but also I encourage you to sharpen your mind as well. Remember, don't just rest on the laurels of, well, I'm not intellectual, or I don't need to be smart, or that you're stupid or you're dumb. Generally speaking, if that was the case, why has nature bestowed upon all of us a mind that can learn? Think about that. Now, We'll start with specter. Specter. Something that is something widely feared as a possible unpleasant occurrence, a threat. Specter. Next word is prosaic. Lacking, to lack poetic beauty, commonplace, ordinary. The next word, the next word after that is royal. Another word for rile, to make turbid or muddy by disturbing the sediment. Royal. Turbid, which I had to learn the definition of that word once I learned the definition of royal. And that definition for turbid is confuse or obscure in meaning or effect. Turbid. The next word is tepid, which is to be lukewarm or to show little enthusiasm. Tepid. The next word is modicum. Modicum, a small quantity of a particular thing, especially something that is desirable or especially something that is considered desirable or valuable. Modicum. The next word is panacea, a solution or remedy to all difficulties or diseases. Panacea. The word after that follows that is transient, lasting only for a short period of time, impermanent, a person staying or working in a place for a short time. Transient. The next word is duplicitous. Duplicitous. Deceitful. In legal terms, it is containing more than one allegation. Duplicitous. And finally, there is, neurosis. Neurosis. Neurosis means excessive or irrational anxiety or obsession. Neurosis. And also last week I had difficulty with a word called genuflect. I had forgotten that definition and I had to read it. So this week I wanted to make sure that I showed you guys that I did take the time to commit it to memory as well. Genuflect, showing deference or civility. Genuflect. Okay, so that's what I have for this week. Those are our 10 vocabulary words for this week. Keep working on building up, working on self-improvement in every area of your life that you are able to. Do it in the ways of Kaizen, which means small steps. That way you're not putting too much pressure on yourself and end up reverting back to old habits. Just take your time and no need to put a lot of pressure on yourself. You want to avoid that. Yeah, so that's what I have for this week. Enjoy the rest of your day. Enjoy your week. I'll see you next week with this another episode of Say Word.